Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Good evening and welcome to Delving Deeper. I am your host, Sonolala. We have a packed panel with us this evening, including Mr. Nigel Thompson. He's the Program Development Specialist of the Parenting Unit of the National Family Services Division. Also back with us are Ms. Farisha Mohammed, the Family Service Social Worker, and Ms. Simone Alexander Jakey, the Coordinator of the Suicide Prevention Hotline. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Delving Deeper.
Good afternoon.
So, Mr. Thompson, I want to start with you in terms of the parenting unit. Tell us about what exactly is the role of the parenting unit.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, the parenting unit was established in 2011, right? The goal of the parenting unit is to plan and execute the national parenting program for Trinidad and Tobago. The parenting unit is guided by three components: parenting education, parenting training, as well as psychosocial support. In terms of our parenting training, that will focus on our workshops and programs that we would normally facilitate. That include workshops such as co-parenting, parenting for men, parenting for grandparents. So our parenting education would focus on our sensitization sessions where we would do different outreaches across Trinidad and Tobago. In terms of our psychosocial support, that will be where persons are referred to get counseling or to get parenting training if needed.
You went exactly into what my next question is, some of the programs offered. But one thing I heard you pique my interest is the parenting program targeted for men. How is that going?
Okay, well, just recently, the ministry had launched the Parenting for Men program. It is a program that is geared towards men, right? We know that a lot of men in today's society, they tend to bottle up their feelings and the issues that they would be facing on a whole. So the Parenting for Men is really to give them that opportunity, to give them that free, confidential space where they can talk about the issues that they face, not only as men, but as parents.
Have we seen, a lot of men coming into this sphere to accepting this program? And
yes, there has been a good turnout. Previously, we would have done this program before, and coming out of that program, there was a support group that was formed, Men Can, where men can come together, they can support one another about any issues that they are currently facing. So yes.
In terms of the parenting unit, I mean, how critical is this for men to be, a part and parcel of trying to get men to actually parent and get involved with their children and so on?
Okay, well, it is critical, as I have mentioned. A lot of men, again, they don't talk about their feelings, right? They tend to bottle up their emotions. And we know we live in a Caribbean country where society dictates that women are more emotional and men tend to, be more stoic, right? So this parenting workshop, again, is really to give them that space where they can talk about issues if they are currently facing with their children, how to properly discipline their children, how they can develop effective communication skills with their children. Any issue that they are currently facing, this program is geared towards them and to help them along the way.
School indiscipline has been a problem throughout the years,
Yes.
including in 2023. I mean, I can't remember the amount of times I've heard the Minister of Education, Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly, talk about school indiscipline and talking about, the parenting aspect of it in terms of that. Have you been in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, and how is that going?
Well, actually, certain schools has reached out to the parenting unit requesting that we do parenting workshops for them, right? So yes, we do parenting workshops for different schools across Trinidad and Tobago. So yeah, we have been in collaboration with the Ministry of Education in that regard.
Has it been bearing fruit? Because, we always hear about, we're talking about parents and having to get this parenting effort into the sphere, but are they latching on to this and seeing it as an opportunity to help their children?
Of the workshops that we would have done for the different schools, right? The feedback that was given to us that a lot of parents are seeing a change when parenting their children. They noticed that the information that the ministry would have provided in terms of in terms of developing their skills as helping them develop their skills as parents, the parents has stated to us that yes, there's a change in terms of how they would parent their children, and they are very thankful for this factor that the parenting unit is doing.
Is there a need for external support where the parenting unit cannot handle such cases?
Yes, actually, the parenting unit is under the National Family Services Division. So the National Family Services Division provides psychosocial support to persons within our country, right? So as I've mentioned, one of the components is psychosocial support that the parenting unit would normally foster. So if persons need any type of help in terms of counseling, the information would come to us, and we would pass on the information to one of our social workers attached to the National Family Services Division, who would intervene further.
One thing I remember during the pandemic, I think it was 2020 exactly, where we saw, a number of virtual parenting workshops. Is that still ongoing?
Actually, we have virtual workshops that are ongoing. Our Parenting for Men and our Parenting for Grandparents are currently virtual. However, we also have in-person workshops. We do a lot of community parenting workshops in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Police. So some of the workshops that we would have done in different communities, such as Maloney, San Fernando, Pleasantville, Rio Claro. So yes, we have in-person workshops as well.
Have we seen, a number of persons coming to these events? Is it? I know you said it's physical, but do we still have virtual as well?
Yes, we do have virtual in collaboration with in-person.
And how is the turnout in terms of the amount of people? Have we seen an uptick?
Doing the community parenting workshops, we have seen a good turnout in the different communities that we would have host our parenting workshops, such as Maloney, such as Pleasantville, such as Rio Claro. The turnout was exceptionally well.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, the National Family Services Division, I want to bring Ms. Farisha Mohammed into the sphere in terms of what is the role of the National Family Services Division?
The National Family Services Division role in society, I should say, is one that we provide psychosocial support to members of the national community who may have experienced some sort of trauma throughout their lifetimes and are in that need presently. Our division was sent to Cabinet for approval in 1991, where we would have addressed the issues at that time mainly on spousal and child abuse. Since then to now, we have evolved, whereas we address more than just those two issues, and we have now targeted all social issues that affects families.
What are some of the issues you all tackle? I know some of it is, marital issues and domestic abuse, but tell us about some of the others.
So we have abuse of the elderly. This is something that is quite prevalent now. We have marital discords, we have physical abuse of both children, women as well. We have even where we encounter spousal abuse against men. Those are some of the things that we address. We address financial issues, whereas persons may have encountered a traumatic experience in life and they are no longer able to financially support themselves. We network with various divisions within our ministry as well as external to find that sort of support for them.
One of the things I saw you all offer as well or help with is depression and anxiety. Have we seen an uptick, and how is that going?
So depression and anxiety happens, as I said, based on the fact that we have all experienced some sort of trauma in our lives, and some persons are able to deal with it and move on, while some persons, they may have been so badly affected that it causes them to go into a state of depression. So we do deal with depression, which is mild depression. We treat with those because mild depression requires talk therapy, which we provide. We aren't an agency that provides medical intervention, but we do referrals should a person need that type of intervention.
And as we're talking about, depression and anxiety, I know this also falls in the category with Ms. Alexandra Jakey as well, with the suicide prevention hotline. How is this going? Have we seen an uptick in the amount of calls that is coming through the hotline?
Yes, thanks very much for the question. Since the launch of I should say the establishment of the suicide prevention hotline, we have seen an increase. So to date, we actually celebrated 1 year anniversary on November the 22nd, 2022, when the hotline was established. And from then to now, when we launched in June officially, we see an increase where people are now calling in when they are in crisis, when they're feeling suicidal. So it's not only suicide, but even when they're in crisis, they're having family dispute, they would call the 800 COPE hotline and they receive intervention. So yes, we see an increase in our calls to date.
Can I ask, what are some of the nature of the calls that you receive in terms of what are people calling with their issues?
Right, so some of the issues that they would call in is that some of them may be experiencing separation, divorce. Some of them just feeling emotionally, I had enough. Financial difficulties they are experiencing. Sometimes they have grief and loss. So when you look at what they are going through, they feel that they lose all hope. So those are some of the issues that they call about.
We're in the festive season, and I know around this time we sort of see an exacerbation of, the amount of calls and the amount of people suffering with anxiety and stress and depression and so on. Is it normal to have an uptick in calls around this time?
Definitely, because Christmas, as we know, this season, it's an emotional time for some people because we lost a loved one during this time, or we may not have the finances to purchase the curtains, the grocery, and so forth. And you feel like the end of the world. So yes, this is a very sad time, and we should look out for each other, because even if we know somebody might be appearing to be good, still give a call, still give a tap in on a WhatsApp. How are you going? How are you coping? And you can share the number with them, 800 COPE, so they would have access to this resource and not feel that they are alone.
Confidentiality is a major concern for callers as well.
It's a paramount of our suicide prevention hotline. Everything that you say to us is confidential, and if we do have to break confidentiality, we will inform you, because we are guided by ethics and laws. So yes, it is confidential. So after assessment, we recognize that you need more intervention, then we will have to ask you to give us more information so we could now refer you to get that intervention that you require.
Ms. Mohammed, in terms of the National Family Services Division, what sort of family issues have we seen in 2023 coming up, with the majority of issues that people call and you all go and venture out to help and so on?
So I would say that we don't have anyone that may surpass the other, because what we do is we try to address our family as a whole. So whereas we would dissect the family and treat each person within that family as individuals, address the issues that are individually affecting them. So let's just take an example of domestic violence. We have the primary persons who are victims, and then we have secondary victims. So the primary victim would be the person who is being perpetrated against, and then the secondary victims would be the children. Now both categories of persons are affected, so that way we deal with them in that light. So what we try to do is we try to address all those issues that may affect the family as a whole, so that we can do the repairs that are required in an effort to empower those families, bring that sense of resilience towards the family, so that we can uplift each family at a time, so that we can have better communities and society.
I know you talked about elder abuse, and in the recent past we would have seen a number of reports. At one point in time, there was an uptick. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it was social media. We were seeing certain videos, but is that still an issue? Are we still seeing reports from like this?
Yes, we do see a lot of reports that would come into our division pertaining to abuse of the elderly. We have different areas where persons will just be neglected. There are some who would be physically abused, there would be those who would be financially abused. So all those are the different areas that we would mostly get calls, with regard to those areas of the abuse of the elderly.
And Mr. Thompson, as we're talking about the elderly in terms of grandparents, I know you mentioned we have a grandparent parenting program as well. Um, have we still seen, people, grandparents in particular, interested in these programs?
Well, I have to say that the turnout for our grandparenting workshop this year was quite big. We had over 80-something persons registered for the workshop, which is very good. Yes, and I have to say, during the workshop, they're very engaging. They're very excited and really eager to learn about how they can effectively parent their grandchildren. So yes.
That's surprising to me because I know grandparents are mostly set in their ways, but are they actually taking up this initiative?
Yes, correct. So one of the areas that we would focus on within our grandparenting workshop is how to build that communication skills with their grandchildren. How can we develop that healthy relationship with them, that bond? So, in a sense, doing that, it will be easier for the grandparents to really help in terms of developing their grandparenting skills. So, yes.
I know you all had some collaboration with the Ministry of Education as we spoke about the school and discipline.
Yes.
But have you any collaboration with any other ministries in terms of, let's say, the Ministry of Sport?
As of now, no. We have done collaborations with the Ministry of Gender because one of the areas we would normally focus on is gender socialization. We know that boys and girls are boxed into certain categories. So it is important for them important for parents to understand, it's okay to have a balance. It's okay for boys to be kind and nurturing. It's okay for girls to be more assertive. So the Ministry of Gender is one body we would normally reach out to help us in that regards in terms of collaboration. So, yeah.
How can parents or grandparents access these sort of services from?
Well, okay, so our grandparenting workshops was advertised for the public, right? They can visit the ministry's page, www.social.gov.tt. They would be guided to a link, right? The link is posted on the ministry's website, and they can press on that link, and the link would guide them accordingly in terms of how they can register for the workshop.
And I just want to go back to Ms. Alexander Jakey in terms of the suicide prevention hotline. In terms of your reports, is there an online option? Have we seen that?
So as we speak it presently, the IT department is presently working on launching our web chat. So that will be soon up and running. So in the meantime, you can call us at our telephone 800-COPE. But it's definitely going to, in addition to, the ministry do have a website. We could utilize the Facebook page and inbox us, and we will definitely get back to you.
I know this is, as you said, still in the planning stages, but would the callers feel confident in the trust of you all to have that online service and messaging to so on?
As I said, everything is confidential, and your call or your web chat is answered by a trained professional. So you will be, it will be a trusted service where you will be receiving from the ministry, from the suicide prevention hotline.
What's the next step for the suicide prevention hotline?
So the next step, because we are the important word, prevention, we are looking at rolling out programs to prevent persons. How do they manage their emotion? So we are looking at targeting schools, because we've seen school children now is finding it difficult. When I get angry, what do I do with this emotion? When I'm feeling I'm being abused at home, do I cut? Do I, want to put a rope around my neck and hang myself? So now we are looking, how do we now do prevention and roll out the preventative part of the program? So yes, we are looking at the prevention for 2024 fiscal year. Yes, we are looking at launching that prevention part of our program. So persons could benefit, the elderly, the children, and the adults, and it is a free, toll-free 24-hour service. If instead at 1 o'clock in the morning, you are feeling lonely, you get bullied at school, and you could call 800-COPE, and we will make every way to assist you best as we can.
And Ms. Mohammed, in terms of the National Family Services Division, I know your main aim is to strengthen families. How do we see this coming along in terms of, throughout the year? Have we seen any advancement this year?
So I would definitely say yes, because what has happened is post-COVID, we always refer to post-COVID, they are now, reintegrating back into society to have life go back to what we call normal. And some persons are still experiencing difficulties. And what we have noticed is that persons have taken the opportunity to resume the in-house service where we meet them face to face, we meet our clients face to face, where they can just, debrief, let us know what is happening, reach out to social workers within the ministry for that assistance to try to, fix a problem in layman terms, where they can bring that relief to whatever issue that they are faced with currently.
What are some of the challenges the National Family Services Division encounter on a daily or monthly basis?
We don't have really much challenges because,
Right.
as I said, post-COVID persons actually coming in, because they, like before, you would have had where persons wouldn't keep appointments,
Right.
they will, but now it's like you're seeing that eagerness. So I think the challenges kind of moved away a little bit, and we have staff, so it's not like what it was before.
In terms of the National Family Services Division, have you all had the need to get external support in terms of, as psychiatrists or so on?
Yes. So like I previously mentioned, the social workers at the National Family Services, we are trained to administer medication. So some persons who would encounter or suffer with mental health issues as well as depression, what happens is if they are needed, like medication is required to treat with that individual, what we would do is we would refer them out to the wellness centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and where they can get that specialized intervention, and they can be prescribed medication so that they would be able to treat with the medium to severe cases of mental health disorders.
How can someone make a referral to the National Family Services Division?
So there are many ways that persons can come to us. One of the ways is via our telephone lines, which is 623-2608, extension 6701 to 6710. They can call that number, and they will be able to give the information that they would like the assistance with. One of the perks is that you don't have to come to Port of Spain if you're living in San Fernando for that service. We have offices throughout Trinidad and Tobago where you can go to an office that would be close to your home. You can also walk into an office. Most of our offices are located within the social welfare offices throughout Trinidad, so you can walk in there requesting services. You can also contact the 800 COPE, which is the suicide prevention hotline. You can also go onto the ministry's webpage and send us an inbox message that you are requiring those services, and somebody would reach out to you, I would say, within a week's time.
In terms of domestic violence, right? How many reports have we seen from men? Because there's the perception that we only see the majority of calls comes from women, but are men also affected?
Men are affected by domestic violence. However, one of the things, as we say, men are conditioned to think that their ego would be targeted should they come forward with that. So we would have persons who would be, ashamed of coming forward. So in light of that, the cases of reports that come from men, it's far less than what would have happened with women coming forward. So yes, even though men are affected by domestic violence, because of the shame, the stigma that comes with, making a report, it is less reported than the numbers that are with women. However, we do have some men who, they will brave it, they will suck it up, and they will either go to the police station and the police will then send them to us, or they may walk right into our offices and they will say, you know what, I've had enough of this, because if I were to retaliate, if I would lash back, or if I would say some of the mean things that are being said to me, I would be looked at as the bad person or the wrong one in this. So there are men, but as I said, the numbers are few because of what societal norms are, and the way in which society looks as a man should he come forward and say, I'm being abused.
There's a reluctance from men, isn't it? Because when you hear about men going to the police station, you hardly ever hear that. Do they mostly come to the police station, as you said, or to the National Family Services Division, or are they referred?
So it's a mixture of both. So there are some men who would come directly to the division, and then there are some men who would be referred from the police because they would have gone there to make a report. So it's a mixture of both that we get clients from walk-ins as well as referrals.
So before we go, I just want to get some final thoughts from firstly Ms. Alexandra Jakey.
My final thought is that to all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we know this is a difficult time for some persons. Please call us. You may be experiencing it. Don't necessarily that you are suicidal, but you may be in crisis, feeling overwhelmed. Please call 800-COPE 2673. It is toll free. It is 24 hours per day. So at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, call us. We always have somebody listening on the other line. Your life is important. Each life is important, and every life matters. Please call us so we can help you through what you are going through. You are not alone. Thank you.
Ms. Mohammed?
So my final thoughts will be, if you have experienced any sort of trauma in life which you feel as though you are taking with you, feel free to reach out to the National Family Services Division. We would assist you in maneuvering your difficulties in, empowering yourselves, because all you need to know is that power to move forward in life lies within you.
And Mr. Thompson?
Yes, so for parents out there who may have difficulties with parenting their children and may need some type of support, the parenting unit is there for you. You can reach out to us. The ministry's number is 623-2608 extension 6701 to 6715. Just give us a call and we will be able to happily assist you.
Mr. Thompson, Ms. Mohammed, Ms. Alexandra Jakey, thanks very much for joining us on this week's episode of Delving Deeper. It's been a very interactive one, and I'm sure our viewers learned quite a lot from the National Family Services Division, the Parenting Unit, and the Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Join us at the same time next week for another episode of Delving Deeper. I am Sonolala, and on behalf of the entire crew, have a great night.